Reach high, aim high, and obtain. So a while back I said I have more recipes for yogurt, which I do, and I'm gonna start sharing. So this is my first one that I want to share with you guys. What I do is I start with I like chicory root inulin powder, but specifically I'm buying this brand of the organic chicory root inulin powder. And I love taking this particular ingredient, and I have a scoop that I got from another product I got years ago, and I put it in there so I can get a good sized inulin scoop, right? I mean, look at how big that thing is. And I put it in there, and then I love to take either, and you can do, if it's more towards the evening, you can do my version of Reuteri, or you can do my version of SIBO Yogurt. And you just take a little bit, you don't do much, but basically it's almost the same portions you did of your scoop. Put it in here. I love to do this at night, especially after I've had my dinner, or if I'm wanting something a little bit on the lighter side. I don't want a full meal, but I want something. This allows me to feel like I'm having a dessert, and at the same time it's delicious and it's filling because of how quality it is. And then I like to stir this. And get it well mixed, and then I have a dessert. Now it may be just a little bit chunky, but that's okay, because when I get those chunks and it gets on my mouth, I have this surprise sweetness that hits my mouth that I love. And so it's kind of like having a dessert for myself, and I love it. So that's one recipe I wanted to share real quick with you guys, and it's absolutely delicious. It's like having your own dessert.
And then you can also put milk in it additionally too, right? And drink it.
If you do want it to be less of a scoop type situation, but you still want all that sweetness, yes, you are correct, Mom. You can add some milk. I like to do whole milk myself and add it so it's more of a drink, and then you can consume it. And I find it really is beneficial, especially in the gastrointestinal. You will definitely start feeling the difference.
Do you ever put fruit in yours?
I have my fruit video out there where I show putting the yogurt with the fruit. So yes, I do occasionally do that, but I find I like doing this as like my standard base. And then depending on what my mood is, and thank you for asking that question, Mom, because you are correct. Depending on my mood and what's in the house, I will add like blackberries or raspberries, or I'll even, sometimes I know that you like to put some maple syrup. I know you do occasionally put some maple syrup in your yogurt instead, and it's absolutely delicious. But this is a great base to start with, and then you can experiment and add what you want. Here's another video on what I like to do with my yogurt. So again, we're going to take either my version of Reuteri or my version of SIBO, and we're going to add it. And I like to do a mug simply because it gives me a way of holding it for what I'm doing. And just take a little bit, it doesn't take much, because it's also a very filling item as well. And then we're gonna put this to the side. And then I found this brand a while back, and it's the company Mount Capra, which you can see here. They actually do a lot of dairy-based products, but it's all from goats. And they do a very fabulous job with raising their goats and their farm, and how they do their farming is just phenomenal with their animals. So my compliments to them. But they have things like this, which is called Clean Minerals with Collagen Peptides. Because remember, any of you who are familiar with Dr. William Davis knows that he said that in one of his studies when he was, addressing Reuteri and doing some research, he had some of the women that says, well, we'd like our skin to be a little bit more, glowy and young looking, because that's what we as women like, right? We like to look young and healthy and beautiful all the time. And that means we need things that kind of sometimes help. Well, collagen, right? So this is their product. Let me see if I can turn it over so you can see. Here's the ingredients in it so you know what's in it. And then here's the suggested serving size, which is per 8 ounces is what they typically do. So what we do, or I should say I do, is we take because it comes with an included scoop, and you just scoop it out. And I don't need much because I'm not doing the full 8 ounces, but just put a little bit in your container, stir it around. You can also give it a taste if you feel like you want it sweeter. You know, you can add your inulin if you're wanting to be more cognizant of your sugar intake. So that way it's more on the beneficial to the gut side without having a sugar spike. You can do it like that. And then you can taste this. Or like I said, you can add the inulin. And this gives you a really great beneficial of nutrition L-Reuteri approach.
So put inulin in after this.
You can. You would want to do it to taste, and that I think is the most important factor. Just let me grab the container. My director is so helpful. I have to say my hat's off to her because she's so fabulous. So what we'll do is we'll take a little bit of our scoop here, and this is from what I've bought, which is my organic chicory root inulin powder, and it's by this company here. And you don't need much because we don't have much in there to begin with. Just add a little bit, stir it around, give it a taste, see how it is, and then you're good to go. And then you've got fabulous minerals with your yogurt and collagen. So it's gonna help your body and beautify it as well. I love taking care of my hair and my scalp and make it just feel healthy and like it's breathing and that it gets these beautiful lustrous locks going on. Sometimes you need a little bit of help. So that is what this video is gonna be about, is I have found there's other ways to use my yogurt. Now, whether it's the Reuteri or the SIBO, it will work, okay? So what I like to do, and there's 2 ways of doing this. You can do just the yogurt on its own and work it into the scalp. Like you're doing a shampooing, although you're not shampooing. You're working it into the scalp and any areas of the scalp that maybe needs a little bit of TSC. So like if somebody has sebum psoriasis, things of that nature. Well, what is it? It's a type of growth, right? That's not beneficial to the body. Well, sometimes there could be things that's causing it to be out of balance. And while one's working through that healing stage, they need a little bit of help. So I like to take a little bit of my yogurt, whether it's, like I said, the Reuteri or the SIBO, and I like to take it, dip my fingers into it, and actually apply it to the scalp and any areas that may be bothering me. I'll leave it on between 3 to 5 minutes. You don't need long. So what you do is what I do is I leave it on for 3 to 5 minutes and I kind of work it in really good with my fingers, kind of like giving myself a really good scalp massage, because that's another thing. It stimulates the hair follicles and growth, puts blood into the area, so it actually helps the hair be healthier too. But what I have found is if I do that 3 to 5 minutes, working it in, letting it sit during that time as well, basically put it in there, massage it in for a few minutes, then let it sit the full amount to get to 3 to 5 minutes, get into the shower, wet the hair, so you're trying to get the majority of the yogurt out, and then I'll bring in my shampoo to finish cleaning the hair. And then I'll condition and style my hair and everything like normal. And what I have found is my scalp feels healthier and better, and it actually, if there's any kind of flaking or stuff going on, it's like it helps address it for me, and it just kind of falls off naturally, which is just awesome. And at the same time, I feel like my hair is getting softer and it's getting healthier because it's almost like the yogurt is strengthening it. It kind of feels that. Don't you feel like it gets healthier, Mom, when you've done that?
Helped me.
I mean, I feel like there's a difference going on, and you can't necessarily say, you know, I think most people, if you were to say, I put yogurt in my hair, they'd be like, what? But it's a subtle difference, but we can feel it in our scalp. We can see it in our hair. And that's why I think it was important to share it with you guys about this. Now,
And actually, while this is sitting on my scalp,
on yours, yeah.
I'll put it on my face as well.
Oh, that's true.
Just the plain yogurt.
Because you like making a mask type thing. And I do occasionally do that, but I like to actually do mine with a little bit of, let me pull it out here, actually. I like to do it with this clay here. And this is not the container it arrived in. The bag it arrived in broke on me, so I repurposed an old bag. But this is from Natural Spa Supplies is the name of the company. They're actually in the UK. I absolutely love the Moroccan Rhassoul clay. This is literally the best Rhassoul clay I've had to date that has, I've purchased and gotten. Because I've gotten like this product. This is a good product if you're in the US and you don't want to worry about import duties and stuff. This one actually comes with herbs typically in it. And when I emptied it and I bought this because the bag burst on me in transit, which was hugely disappointing because, paying imports and all that with the shipping. But I ended up repurposing the container. But I wanted to show you that there are other brands out there. And this one, I actually have one upstairs. And what I love to do with this particular brand, because the Rhassoul that's in here, that's from Natural Spa Supplies, I love to use it on my face and my hair, especially my hair, because it cleans so well. And I can literally feel the difference. And it's a different texture consistency when I use it compared to the other brands.
Now, how do you use it?
So all you do, and that's why I brought out my thing here. Where is it? Oh, here we go. I love to use this container here. I got this I got this years ago. And what I like to do, and this is the one from Natural Spa Supplies. It is different from every other Rhassoul clay. Is you just take, and you want to make sure you're either using wood or plastic here. This is the one instance where I'm like, avoid metal, period, of any kind, because it actually changes the charge of the clay. But you don't need much. I usually do about 3 scoops, and then I'll spread it around like this. And let me actually get some water. And you don't need much because it depends on what you're doing, okay? Just realize that. And all you do is pour water over it to cover it. That's all you do. You don't need much. And then you shake it around and let it sit. And what happens is that you can see it happening here. Air bubbles actually start coming up from the clay. See there? And it's where the water is soaking down into the clay and hydrating everything. So you get this really fabulous consistency. And then what I like to do when it's still in this watery state, if I'm doing it for my hair, I have to point this out, if I'm doing it for my hair, I like to add, but this will change depending on if one's pregnant or not, because there's certain essential oils you would not want to use when one's pregnant. And I like to do...
Which one are you using
This
now?
is rosemary. I like to do 1 drop of rosemary.
Show me.
Oh,
What kind?
it's by Living Libations. I bought this years ago.
Okay.
And then this is the tea tree, and these are all essential oils.
Okay. Living
And I like to,
Libations, too.
yes, and I like to do a drop of that. So you smell it coming out
Oh,
from the...
that's very potent.
And then
what
this
kind
is peppermint. And I really like to use the peppermint and these 3 because I have found from my research that these 3 essential oils together, now let me lay them out here so you can see them, they actually stimulate hair growth and antibacterial properties, and it really it helps with cleaning the scalp and growing the hair and having lustrous hair. So I've learned that while the clay's hydrating, if I add these to it, it infuses the clay as it hydrates, which is wonderful. So I'll shake that around a little bit. And then I can put this in my hair. But if I want to, and this I would use in my hair.
And your hair on your scalp.
Wet scalp and hair directly on the scalp. And then what happens is then it rinses out, it comes down the hair itself, the shaft, and it actually comes down, drips to the end of the hair, and cleans the rest of the hair. So this is one instance where this does great, but make sure only in cleaning the scalp, because as it rinses out, it will naturally clean the rest of the hair. because if you start scrubbing or trying to put this on the end of the hair, it'll dry out the hair, and on top of that, it'll make it very staticky, and it won't look pretty, to be frank.
So that after you rinse this out, then you shampoo.
You don't have to, actually, because this is so conditioning by that particular brand. I found if I used any other brand, I have to condition. No question about it. But if I use theirs, it's just like I can just shampoo, and if I feel like it, I can condition. But I always use a leave-in condition no matter what when I get out of the shower and I've cleaned my hair, whether I do it with a conditioner in the shower or not. I always do a leave-in conditioning spray, so technically I'm still conditioning my hair. But this right here is just phenomenal. You can see here how it, see here if I start doing this, you can see it's not too liquidy. See here? You can't see it very well, but I can feel it with my finger. But basically, if you feel like you want a little bit thicker, you can. But if you're shampooing your hair, you want to make sure that it's more on the liquidy side so you can get it in between all the follicles and all stuff. But if you feel like you need more, you can add just a little bit more clay. But it doesn't take much. If I were to put this, frankly, on my scalp, this would be the because see how it's kind of sticking to my finger, but it's not like dripping off. That's kind of the consistency you want if you're doing your hair. But if it's a little bit on the thicker side, I would add just a little bit of my yogurt to it and put that on as a mask, because the yogurt, it keeps a certain level of moisture because of the fat in it. And clay, what's fabulous about it is if you keep clay moist and hydrated, it actually pulls toxins out. You need to be gentle, but they need to pull the toxins out. Is I would make myself a little bit thicker than this, just because this is more for hair consistency, just so you know. I would do this. I would probably put, depending on where you're at, a little bit of tea tree oil, because tea tree is naturally antifungal, antibacterial, all that. And they actually use tea tree oil in the tropics. I kept trying to think of the area, but in the tropical areas to prevent the infections of the soldiers. I think it was a Great British story actually, and they found if they used tea tree oil that it prevented it. So I would say tea tree oil. You don't need much, a little bit goes a long way. I would put the clay, I would hydrate it. I'd add a little bit of the yogurt to that clay, and that could be the Reuteri or the SIBO. I would tend to almost say go more for the SIBO because of all the combination of bacteria.
Bigger spectrum.
Yeah, it would be a bigger spectrum, and because of the spectrum that they each address, that I would tend to go more towards the SIBO. However, you know, to me, I'm like, get a probiotic going on there. And that's another thing is I avoid, and this is me personally, any kind of skin cream that has an antibiotic on it, because it's also, think of how antibiotics go into the body. They clean out all bacteria when one takes an antibiotic. And it's not that one doesn't have bacteria in the body or on the skin naturally. It's actually a natural defense to have those facts on an body. So to me, I avoid having antibiotics on the skin and instead try my best to actually feed the good guys. And if overpopulate with and highly populate with the good bacteria on the skin, it will take care of the bad bacteria, and especially introducing in your gut, because realize that certain parts of the face actually correspond to specific organs in the body. So for example, if there's any inflammation, especially in the lower chin area, that means there's something going on with the intestinal tract and there's toxins building up. And sometimes if the toxins cannot get out through the natural pathways of elimination, it will actually start coming out of the skin. So if that starts happening, I take a diet and address things, in my opinion, from a natural perspective. And now another thing I do want to mention, getting off the subject of clay, because I could go on about clay forever, to be frank. And I actually take these containers here and I actually hydrate the container itself. The whole container, I'll just put water on the top, hydrate the whole thing, put the lid on, and I keep a container in my shower. And after I've soaped, I will actually take a little bit of the clay and I will actually scrub my body with it because it's also a natural scrub. And by the fact I'm in the shower and the fact that my skin's wet, it will actually remove toxins off my body, and I actually feel like more that my skin breathes. It's like you can actually feel your skin breathing when I do that.
Question.
Yes.
If you're putting water on top of this, and you said you wouldn't use plastic, you kept
No, it says you can use plastic, you can use wood, you have to avoid metal.
Okay.
It's the metal, because see, if you put metal in there, it changes the charge.
So the clay is not going to pull the plastic?
Ideally, you wouldn't necessarily do that, but that's the one area I do guarantee to use the plastic is in the shower, because I don't want to have to worry about location because it is so much clay, and I go through so much of it. That's why I try and get big containers of it, is because I do go through it quite heavily. Okay. But it doesn't take much. It's just the clay isn't necessarily pulling properties from the plastic. It's when you're looking at the charge of what the clay can do for you, is how I look at it. Okay. Ideally, I would prefer a glass container, but I also have to make sure it stays sealed so that it can stay hydrated. And I found that this container works like fabulous for me because I can keep it sealed with the hydration in it, and at the same time, if it falls in the floor, I'm not worrying about there's glass everywhere. I'm in the shower now. How do I clean that up? It's just a safety thing for me. But I love taking this, scrubbing my skin after I've soaped, and I literally feel like my skin's breathing afterwards. I love I love clay, period. Now back to over here and the hair. I don't know how I got started on this. What can I say? I'm a plethora of knowledge. You ask me questions, I go off on a little bit of a educational sharing thing. But anyways, back to this. So I'll put this in my scalp and scrub. Now another thing I like to do, and this is the brand here, it's what's this? InnerSense, I believe is the company. Yeah, InnerSense. I'm looking at it upside down. And they have a couple different scrubs, but I like this particular scrub, and here's the list of ingredients next to it. And it comes, I actually haven't opened this. It comes like this, and inside is a beautiful little plastic container. And I'm gonna close that up because I don't need to get into that. I've already got one open. And the ingredients are, because it does have, trying to find it here, it's got a clay, there we go, it's got clay minerals in it, and you can smell the peppermint. It's got this fabulous peppermint scent. But what I love to do, and I do this like every time almost, or at least once a week I should say, at least once a week I do this, and I love doing this, is I love to take this, and I'm purposely using my wooden spoon because it does have clay in it, and I love to take it, add it to my Reuteri, and stir this up. And I'm gentle when I do it on my scalp though, because you don't want to over scrub at the scalp, because you want to love on your scalp. Not say, let me get that dirt out. But you want to love on it. And if you mix these two together, I found, what it does is it puts peppermint essential oils, because it also has peppermint, and peppermint is great with enhancing and stimulating and also getting rid of bacteria and fungus, and it's just got fabulous properties to it. And I like to mix these two together and then go into the shower and scrub my scalp with this as like a pre-shampoo. So I'll wet my hair and I'll put this in, these two together. My yogurt, whether it be the SIBO or the Reuteri, I tend to do the SIBO, but the Reuteri will work just as well. And I put this together. You can see here it forms like a paste. I mean, it was already a paste, but now it's a probiotic paste, if you think about it. See here how it is? Once I get this together and I wet my hair down, I gently massage my scalp and do a light exfoliation to the scalp from the properties in it. And at the same time, it's like it invigorates my scalp because it's got the peppermint essential oil in it, and it's just so wonderful to get that scent in your scalp and smell it around it.
Kind of feels refreshing, doesn't it?
It is very refreshing. I love doing it. It's very stimulating too because the peppermint kind of wakes up at the same time. And it just feels like it cleans off my scalp in a positive way because I'm not overly scrubbing. It's just like it goes in there and it says hello. And it's just wonderful to do. And then I'll rinse it out and then I'll shampoo and then I'll condition like normal. And it's wonderful thing if looking for something, and because I know a lot of people are like, go in there and scrub. And I'm like, no, just lightly exfoliate. But this is just a great products together, and these are just some options for things that'll benefit scalp and hair, because realize by doing this, opening the pores in a positive way, stimulating blood and circulation to the scalp, which by extension is stimulating the health and the beauty of hair.